Hello everyone, Venris here, and today we'll be talking in details about the changelog for SFO Grimhammer version 1.40 Rise of the Rat. So the update that is going to be released today. When I'm uploading this video, it's not just released, it will be released at 8 PM Central European Time during the release stream as usual. But this changelog is right now available for everyone. It's not only patrons right now, but I still encourage you to support us via Patreon, because this is the best way to make this mod still up to date, so we have a time because of the busy lives and stuff like that. We have a lot of things to talk about, so we'll be just going very fast into the details and going through all the changes. General changes at first. All heroes movement range was increased from 3,500 to 4,000, so around 10%, 15. But also we made that based on their level, all the heroes movement is now increased by 1%, so they can also increase it to 50%. Why is that? Because all the effects that are affecting movement in the campaign are not affecting characters, they're affecting armies only. So lords, we want to make that heroes should move way faster than the armies, and that way that will be working, I hope. Other requested change is that the setting changed of growth, SFO and menu were increased by 50%. All heroes spawned from special mechanics like cult spreading cult have their movement range doubled. So for example, the plague spreading, the Alifanar assassin, they now have double their movement range, so you won't need like 6 turns to get somewhere with them, which is a good change in my opinion. Unit upgrades, units upgrade UI improvements, so because it's based on a scrap upgrade from vanilla, now it's having more neutral UI. It still has some UI bugs, but this is only the way to make the system working after CA changed it. Summoned characters like Green Knight, Grombinal and Nakai received stats increase, because you can get those characters from a specific army abilities like Green Knight when defending, Nakai when you are attacked, and so on and so on, and their stats will be progressively getting higher when the original character is getting stronger. Most generic SFO aura abilities range was increased to 50. This is the change that was done in vanilla quite some time ago, and we were also working on that. I made a whole video about it, so I won't be going. Some small updates to some of the SFO abilities and vanilla spells, and some generic character skills received additional effects because their counterparts in the other factions are just better. High Elves and Tombkins, this is a great example, because like High Elves ambush chance skill has like 3 different effects, when the Tomb Kings are half of those effects, which is just why take it. This is just like a beginning of what we are going to do in the future, because we want to make a gigantic character skills rework, not only their effects but a whole system of character skills. And this is something that I will be making video, because it will be very drastic to the point that it may need compatibility patches for other mods that are in characters, but we'll try to have it, you know, as possibly working as it's in our power. But still, I would like to do it, because I think the character skills trees are total bloat. They have different amount of points and things like that, which is problematic all over the place. But yet again, this is for far future, most likely. Sieges, a lot of sieges rework. First of all, units on Valve ability, a lot of buffs to it, because there's a collision, there's a problems with how they are shooting, rotating and stuff, so they need to be buffed. And so we want to have an incentive for players to defend the walls, so they will be better. Like the towers itself are strong in SFO, they have a very big range, they don't have the much, let's say, the most health, let's call it, but it's important that the units are also defending on the walls. Gates, wall healths and wall towers were changed, so they are now progressively increasing. They are not the highest value as it was before, now it's progressive. So small settlements will be weak and bigger and bigger and bigger, so like you feel the difference between fighting against a settlement that is tier 1, the major one, or tier 5. It will be like a real fortress, you'll need a good army to take it. Melee attack defense bonus removed from attacker and the furthest passive. I made a video about that we most like We want those bonuses that you get from having points taken as a defender or taken as an attacker to be mostly about mobility in the sieges. We don't need more melee attack and defense in those. Why? Because SFO has a lot of bonuses to those things right now, from buildings, technologies, lords, heroes, and more stuff. We don't want bloat here. We want to make that you are faster during sieges, you can withdraw, you can route, you can change your positions and so on, and replenish vigor. The defenders is 0.25 per second, and the attacker is 1% per second, because attacker, you're not starting with it, and this is a difference. Faction towers all were changed. Right now, 2 of the 4 towers that we had buildable, we changed to the way that we having, how it's called, support abilities, and those support abilities are different for every faction. I made a video about that. Some of them replenish ammunition, some of them do other stuff, and so on. There is a problem with this system a bit, because right now in vanilla you can have those aura abilities 40 meters. I already reported to Creative Assembly almost 2 months ago, no reply since. I hope they will just maybe upload it with the next hotfix or something like that. If they do, then we will increase those aura ranges by a lot, making them way better in that sense. To compensate, we made that those towers also shoot special contact effects that lower enemy stats and things like that. As I said, if Creative Assembly fixes the problem with the towers, I will make that probably those towers won't shoot at all, but those aura abilities will be way bigger, like 200 meters, whole battlefield, things like that. So it's just better. Same things goes to the barricades. The barricades are changed, but they are unified through all the factions. They are not like towers that are unique with all the factions. They are unified. So traps are lowering enemy vigor, not speed anymore. Drain vigor. No, doesn't change their melee attack, but it drains vigor, which is powerful. It's limited to 2 units, so it's not that overpowered. The barricades are now 25,000 health, so almost double. Monument got changes, platforms got changes. Yes, everything is just better here. So we want to encourage people to actually make the death traps, death zones and things like that. Other stuff that is quite important, we are buffing defenders a lot, but what about attackers? So we don't want to force players to always need to take siege attacker units or to take the units that are good against walls. We are giving the new army ability at level 20, that is wall breaker name. You will think, oh, it's so powerful. No, it's just the ability that allows to destroy one wall. Yes, during the settlement or a building. So yet again, this is not gigantic change, but it's making that it will be a bit more snappy. And it's also for the enemies, so AI can use it. So when you will be attacked, I think it will be also more interesting. And ability is auto, it's free. We didn't want it that people need to spend skill points on it. Supply points during siege effect were removed. This effect is totally not in the game anymore, because it was like, for example, your garrison was making that every turn you are getting past 100 supply points per turn during sieges, but you never siege for longer than 1-2 turns. Yes, so we decided, no, let's just make that you getting initially more points, and that way we are just having more points overall, but again, sieges are more snappy, and you as defender will have more points to do those barricades, towers, and other cool stuff. This is all for the sieges. More detailed video is on the channel, just released just before this one. Skaven got a lot of changes. They were in works for a long time, and they are getting 96 new technologies. They are in 2 new tabs, and one of those 8 technologies for each faction is unique. So each faction is getting the unique technologies. First tab is like as it was, but it was changed to only combat bonuses, and it's also lowered the time that you need to take it. Make those technologies. The second one is all about campaign, and you need to make tunnels with a new resource there and spend it, buy it with food, gold, and things like that. And the last one is all about under empire buildings that are getting a lot of bonuses. Yes, so we are having that the under empire is actually big. I'm not going to say all of the effects, but some of them are really unique and cool, and you can just discover them by yourself. Because of that, the ruins are also having an income. Why? You'll see. Again, it's under Empire effect. Outstanding landmarks were buffed a bit, so they are giving more bonuses to the Skaven factions at the beginning. So again, so you're not so squishy. It's easier for you to go and to the second province and so on and so on. A small change to the Black 13. They got the immediate flanking attribute. All dilemmas and events were rebalanced with new and more interesting effects. So this is a similar thing that we were talking with the last major update, was the vampire counts, that we wanted that every faction from now on will be getting a lot of changes to their events, dilemmas, and stuff that are generic in vanilla and quite boring, let's face it. So yes, we are changing those by a lot, and I'm quite happy. Next change is thanks to Rocks and Gape Sky. We are having the plagues for scroll, like actual plagues, like Nurgle, with some small twists here and there, because this scroll skills were also changed because of that. And other stuff. I also made a video about it some time ago. As I said, Rocks and Gape Sky, big thanks to you guys. The Plagues for Scroll is such a great addition. It's entirely different playing this faction. Snitch is getting some, his mechanics got a lot of buffs in his effects, like for example one that you can steal gold, you're getting way more gold from it, some other stuff here and there. His penalty for other grenades was lowered to 100%, not 200, so it's not that overpowered anymore. You can still lower it by making contracts and so on. And also his effects for increasing the different ammunition for the units is also increasing the range right now, so it's even cooler. Rework is a SFO legendary lord that is for Skaven clan Rictus. He's a unique legendary lord. As I said, he got a lot of buffs, so he is actually more in line with other legendary lords. Rictus Bravery, as we are talking about Rictus, is a new resource added to Trench faction. I also made a video about that. So it's a cool mechanic, because it's ranging from 0 to 100, and depending on what level you are, it changes the bonuses that are more focused on fighting enemies or just staying in your provinces. And the cool thing is that you have a lot of dilemmas and ways to manipulate it, like stop its gaining, stop its losing, increase it, decrease it, or exchange it to some other stuff like army ability that will give you Rictus Storm Vermin units summoned in the battles that also are getting buffed, and the garrisons for Tretch, the special garrisons, are also getting buffed. So this is more or less for the Skaven, but I think those changes, the Skaven overall as a faction was always great, but the problem for me was them they didn't have any end game goal besides their faction mechanics, like the Morse one that we did for the Quick or Ikit Claw. So we added those technologies. We also made some technologies a bit weaker, so overall power is higher, but you need to grind to it a bit so you can get to those new stuff. Let's go to the Lizardmen, one of my favorite factions in the game, being honest. The technology changes, again, I made a video about this. SFO had the technology changes for the Lizardmen for almost 5 years right now, and CE just made a similar change with it, which I'm happy. So we merged a lot of effect here. The philosophy of those technologies were also merged, but you're also still having those unique tabs and technologies from SFO, so everything is working here and there. Some small stuff, like a stupid one, like Astromancy styles will finally clarify which units are receiving the Vanguard deployment attribute. That was waited for since the Warhammer 2 release. I don't know why we never did it. About the new skills for Scar Veteran, Skin Chief, and Skin Priest, those were removed because they were actually clashing a lot with SFO ones. We took some effects from them and just put it into SFO ones because SFO 1 have some cool like branching choices, and I think it's just better. And with those SFO and those as vanilla one, it will be just bloat. Other stuff, stun buildings now grants a cooldown reduction to the Rite of Awakening. Nakai have it on his temple effects, so those, you know, giant stuff on top. Smith building construction cost effect reduction was doubled, small stuff, and all dilemma and events rebalanced with a new and more interesting effect. So same that we did for the Skaven. Small changes to the landmarks, some of the landmarks went down, some of the landmarks got the new effects. and just are more interesting. Nakai, because he is getting a lot of changes. Nakai technologies will totally rework. All of the effects were moved, swapped, like the main lines are the same effects, but then they are branching into different ones. His unique ones got a buff. A lot of things to do here. And also he received a lot of effects that no other factions have in vanilla, but Nakai never had, like the plague duration reduction. Yes, so he's way better in that regard. The other change that I again love, by the way, need to be thanks to the Gape Sky, we are getting the starting location dilemma. So playing as Nakai, you can now pick where you want to play your campaign. Darklands, Wolf 1, just go when you want. And this is also important, this is working with Old World campaign mode. So I'm extremely happy that Gape was able to do it. Vassal buildings and garrisons were total rebans. So they are giving some cool effects, not only for the vassal, but also for Nakai. For example, there are more buildings you get for this specific temple, let's call it. The Nakai can have increased movement or experience or replenishment for this province. So again, I think this is a cool addition that he's actually getting different stuff. So I encourage highly to make that in every province you have a different temple. That way Nakai is able to get the best possible bonuses from each of those. Nakai buildings effects were also rebalanced. We made some of them cool. We also emphasize more on making that when Nakai is tier 5, you can just demolish all his buildings that are for the units and make those super uber buildings that have the combination of all the units. So that way, instead of 6 buildings for the units, you have 3, and the rest you can just spend on those support units, and Nakai becomes the powerhouse, the strongest horde lord in the game. But you need to get to this point. He also received more sources of spawning sequence on his main building and with events, and the choice of effects are taking settlements was also expanded. So depending what settlement you're getting, so as I said with those vassal stuff, what way you want to AI to build there, you're also getting different bonuses for Nakai for 5 turns. All edicts and commandments receive the gain of spawning sequence. I don't know why this changes here because it should be here. Yes, all 10 pulse effects were rebalanced. For example, Nakai can recruit units after 1 turn, no matter the unit. Again, small changes here and there. We want to make Nakai more snappy and also working better in terms of dynamically as a horde, because like we are looking on Beastman faction, this is one of the best horde faction that Creative Assembly did, and the best thing with them was that they don't have upkeep cost in the normal gold usage. So we also emphasizing on Nakai to not worry about upkeep, not worry about the income from his vassal, so he may focus more on just moving, attacking, and doing other cool stuff. We also emphasize that in technology. Okay, let's go. Mazda Mundi, unique skills changes were not implemented. The same thing with the King Chief. If you don't know, all the Slan are totally reworked in SFO in comparing to Vanilla, because they have own skills, different way of buffing armies, campaign effect, a lot of stuff. Honor Guard of Hextall, they got some buffs. Incantation of Hextall, the ability, again some buffs. Oxyotl, unique skills were buffed by a lot. Tehenawin, his starting item, the Blade of Serpent Tongue, no longer is giving poison because it was problematic with a lot of stuff. Now it's way bigger range and also give melee reflect. And Sauros upkeep was lowered from plus 200% to plus 25%. Why? Because it's very limiting with the Henawin, but still playing as the Henawin, you should be playing and focusing on how it's called, on skinks. Again, if you really want to, you can do those units at the beginning of the game, Saurus's I mean, but 25% for those high tier units that's starting with like 800 cost as base, yes, it will be a lot more upkeep. So if you really want to tank your economy, just do it. Tic-tac-toe, a lot of changes to his how it's called, the campaign effect, masteries. Yeah, the masteries. We made that he's giving more line of sight. It's more like progressively right now because it's getting with every major settlement, and overall a lot of small changes to him, but making him more viable as a legendary lord, especially that he already has a lot of cool mechanics in SFO. Blade of the Ancient Skies, again, his stuff is now giving a lot of mass, anti-large. He can be really crazy anti-large in air, so making him very funny. Salamander Hunting Pack, we find out that the Razordons are just overperforming Salamanders, so we are adding the contact effect to them, and more melee defense and more ammunition. Ancient Salamander was not overperforming, but didn't have a straight up role to do in the game, so we are adding new contact effect that is called Burning, which is dealing a lot of damage. It's dealing 1000 damage to a unit in a span of 20 seconds. Yes, 20 seconds. Of course, less if it's like single legendary lord. But the projectile itself lost explosion, so we just want to make sure that when it hits something, then the something will be burning and getting a lot of damage. Okay, blessed units. All received SFO blessing choices. If you don't know, they have the blessing choices in custom battles and the scrap upgrades in the campaign. A lot of small adjustments here, so I won't be going through them because none of them are like totally different than something like that. By the way, this one is, yeah, they are not like totally different than what is in vanilla. The difference with them is that they are getting those blessings in campaign and custom battles, which make them unique each time because you can just specialize them in something different. Let's go to the Tomb King. Tomb King's got a lot of changes, and they are also this one. Okay. The Tomb King's changes are important because yet again, the Tomb King's beginning of the game is very slow. We wanted to make them way more snappy again. Interesting, faster, dynamic. Because like, it doesn't mean that the faction needs to be like corn that can move around and things like that. They need to be a bit like a dwarf. So having a lot of options and we don't want the situation when the specific faction is just an end turn simulator. We want that you have something to do each turn and do it from the first turn, not from the 10th, 20th or something like that. So, from the beginning, Gabe Sky, again, shining here. He's made the new icons for many items. They look amazing in my opinion, and most new Tomb King skills were removed, again, as they were doing the same. I think the SFO ones were great, and we just merged some of the effects. So there is no bloat, but you still get some cool stuff from the vanilla ones. Rebalance of technology tree effects. We are just merging the thing that we had in SFO, but also doing it with the vanilla ones, new ones. So it's not major stuff. If you played SFO previously, Tomb Kings, you will know what to expect. Dictates we remove additional effects to scale better. Some of them were very not the best, let's call it. Yeah, like this one that was just giving flat gold. For the beginning it was cool, but for later, nah. So it's, for example, increasing now income for the settlement, which is better. Books of Nagash. I understand what Creative Assembly wanted to do with this change, that they make that the how it's called, the, you know, the constructs getting a chance to not die during battles. Being honest, I don't like it. I don't think that this mechanic should be everywhere, but we are working with what we have, and we also added more interesting effects to each book. So they are not only, okay, I just have an increase of this, you know, resurrection chance and +5 Lord rank. That's it. No, we went with some of them really crazy, and they are cool in my opinion, and they are worth getting, especially that they are closer right now and easier to get. A lot of the small changes to our items, banners, and followers, linking with what Gabe Sky did. Important change: army capacity +1. You are getting 2 armies from the beginning in Tomb King's campaign. You don't need to wait 10 turns. By the way, the dynasties are no longer needed. You don't need to spend canopic jars on the dynasties, so those first technologies, you can first turn, you pick a technology, and after turns, you are getting your technology. So we are starting with army capacity ASAP. So in 10 turns, you will have 3 armies instead of 2 like in vanilla. I think this is a great change, especially with the pacing and whole philosophy of the SFO. Special dilemma was also started to the early campaign, so I think it's turn 3 or 4, and you can pick gold or canopic jars or other small bonuses, so again increase this early game slow Tomb King's pacing, so it's not so boring. All dilemma and events totally rebalance. Interesting thing is that I don't know why, but in vanilla, all the canopic jars events are still old values. So they are giving like +10 or -10 cost, things like that. Funny, I don't know. We just totally rebalance all of those to actual changes that Creative Assembly did with the jars. Kill captives options received buildings income, because this option was previously giving canopic jars. Now it's giving some effects to growth. We added the income again for early game especially. Canopic jars income was changed a bit. It was quite crazy in vanilla. We capped it, half it being honest, so it's capped to 500 max per battle, not 1000, and the overall gain was lowered. But we also made that you are starting with more canopic jars, which is great, and all non-scripted mission jars rewards changed to at least 200. Most of them, like, again, I was saying with the dilemmas, was like 50, 40. I don't know why, but it was the case. And we changed that also, making the legendary lords missions give like 1000, so it's a lot. But also the legendary lord, the dynasty lords that you can get in the technology tree are costing 1000, but they are legendary lords, so you know they need to be costly. Let's go through some unit stuff, because there is a lot of cool unit stuff that we can talk about here. All skeleton units received 10 missile resistance. I think this is good change. Skeleton horsemen, they are now anti-large right now. In Hekara horsemen, they got the directional shield and overall buff. Tomb Kings with the swords, Tomb Guard, sorry, with the swords, again, bonus. Tomb Bark, magical attacks to the projectiles. War Sphinx, less ammo, but we added the bleak attack to the range, so overall the damage should be more. Necro Sphinx is a bit faster and also get a new contact, more leadership, and a better acceleration. The acceleration, speed, attack, splash size, and increased everything. Necro Sphinx was too slow block, you know, from our test. Reanimate is getting the active ability. This is the rarely ability of the Tomb Kings, is getting the contact effect immunity attribute added, so very fitting for the Tomb Kings. They like cleanse from all the filth and poison stuff. Restore active ability was totally reworked. That one was just healing the construct. Now is giving regeneration to unit. Like is you one tap unit, and for the rest of the battle it will just have a regeneration to the rest of the battle. This is Balzapon's idea, and I think this is an amazing idea. I love it. Covenant of Power, passive ability changed to affect casters, and Winds of Magic Reserve regeneration was added to it. Some units of the special ones, here and there, I won't be going to the details, but Legendary Lords, the Dynasty Lords, Alcazar, Vakav, and Rakash got a lot of buffs. They were better, and their all skills were also buffed, because they are more expensive from the jars. My favorite change for Tomb Kings that I made a video about, again, is Vengeance. Vengeance is getting back for Khalida, and it's a very simple resource that you get from battles that increase your damage, all damage when attacking, but lowers your armor when defending for the faction. And every turns you can manipulate this resource with a new dilemma. All of this is also linked with her technology, uniques, and missions that she already have in SFO, so working a bit better in my opinion. Her improved arrows will also make the magical. This is a change from vanilla. Previously it was the ammunition increase, was same was in SFO. We just moved those ammunition increase to SFO technologies. Ketep campaign effects. In vanilla he got 25% campaign experience, something like that. We just made it 50%, but on enemy territory, you know. He's an exile, he wants to go somewhere. More interesting in my opinion. High Lich Priest, this is SFO generic lord that was Ketep only since Warhammer 3. We changed the decision and it's now for all the Tomb Kings, so you don't have only Tomb Kings as a generic lords. Ketep has some special effects for them, and Arcan additional Lord of Shadows, because High Lich Priest is a lord that when you recruit them, you picking the lord, not previously, which in my opinion is a quite good idea. Let's go with the Grand Kathai. Grand Kathai got some nice buffs, that's why we are leaving it in the major stuff. Defensive stance, totally rebalance the effects, they are more stronger. Jade Warriors, they are getting more attack, 360 block attribute added. Onyx Crowmen, more armor. Empress Crowmen changed to Harmony unit, so they are affecting both yin and yang. cool change in my opinion. They have the non-gown grenades ability charge increase and main contact effect also added. Celestial Dragon Guard, small change, the block chance was increased. Magical attacks were added to the projectiles one, so those double slow crossbows that the Celestials have. Regiment of Renown version has banishment on their projectiles, so they increase the miscast chance, lower the physical resistance of enemies, which is very cool. Some small buffs here and there, and fixes. Dark Elves. Let's go with the Dark Elves. So look here, unique SFO buildings effects were buffed, not a lot, but some. Morathi. Morathi is having units, not having, she always had in SFO, not always, but for quite some time, let's call it, years. She has a new unit that is called Cultist of Pleasure, and those units had scrap upgrades, so you can change them to what Slanesh stuff you wanted. And we thought, you know, it's a scrap upgrade again, let's just move it and make it more interesting. And we made that her special dilemma, because if you don't know, Morathi has like 10 special events only for her, now are giving those unique scrap upgrades, so you can mix and match them together, which is more interesting. Some small buffs. Dark Riders Shieldless are now anti-large unit and their attacks are faster. Dark Riders, the Reaper ones, now got a shield breaker contact effect and close aim ability added, so closer they are to enemies, more damage they will deal. Corsairs, a bit more melee defense, and the dual sword get more charge. And Helldrakes and Sea Dragons, units made by Chaos Robbie, got the immunity to all sea attrition added. Imperial Taxes, this is an army ability that Empire have for quite some time, that required very endgame technology for the Empire, and we changed it. That you are getting it from the beginning, and made that you can still get more, you are getting more charges from the specific technology, but the specific lords will be also having more charges. So generals of the Empire and Empire captains, if they are in their army, like General is an army, will get more charges. So again, something more interesting, and now it's not only affecting 1 unit but 2 units in an AoE of 40 meters. I think this is a nice buff to Empire and makes it more tactical. Wolfkin, missile resistance increase. Silver Bullets, this is a change that I like. They got a banish contact effect, and by the way, they are also making that their projectiles work like artillery, so they are breaking shields of enemy, which is great. Ballistic Expert, Master Engineer SFO trait, the cooldown to all his abilities was added, because if you don't know, all the traits in SFO are unique for every legendary lord and hero. Imperial Agents SFO passive, we added the recharge if in melee for 15 seconds and 1 cooldown. What does it mean? That if unit is because this passive works only when unit is losing, so when it starts winning again, then this ability will stay on this unit for 15 seconds more. And Rexguard unit got 250 mass. Chaos Dwarfs, we got some nice buff. Flaming Breath, active ability detonation was increased to 6 meter ups from 4 meters. Hobgoblin Bow Throwers, poison contact effect was added to ranged. Lord of Hashut, Burning Wrath, the number of projectiles was changed to 3-6. Previously was, you know what, it was 1-3 previously, yes. So they are now nicely spreading. 1.3. Yes, nicely spreading here and there. Hobgoblin Cutthroats got more melee defense. Hobgoblin Sneaky gets changed poison contact effect on melee to SFO lethal poison. And Bull Central Tauruk changed Guardian ability to SFO bolster defense. Why? Because they have the Guardian ability in their skills, so no need for that. Bretonia, Bleed SFO contact effect was added to all Hippogriffs, excluding Henry Le Massif because he already has a different effect. Peasant Economy was changed a bit and buffed. It's more linear now. It's just changing depending how much economy, what is the value. So for example, if you're on half value, always about economy. Going down, you don't get an economy, but you're getting very high combat bonuses. So yes, there is encouragement to spam more peasant armies, because that way you will be getting way powerful of those armies, so actually making them viable. Fey Enchantress, her campaign mechanic in SFO was making that from time to time randomly she got dilemma. That was dilemma, not it was event that was changing her mood and unlocking different rights, because he had the 4 different rights, 2 for being angry and peaceful. And now it's regular, and you can change it how you want it. So you can actually decide what you want to change in her mood. Regular, I think it's from 10 to 20 turns, something like that. Small buffs to Green Knight's unique skills. If you don't know, Green Knight in SFO is working like a technology platform. When he's spawned, he's getting levels, and those levels can be spent to make some very cool faction-wide stuff. And we change those, buff those, and make that higher the chivalry you have, his leveling will be also way faster. So late game, you will be able to pick more of those technologies, skills, when he is spawned. Kislev. In Kislev, we only have some ability units. Rebalance, Katarina Elemental Boar, Iriel Nock was changed to Streltsy. It was just too strong. If you don't know, in SFO, all Legendary Lords have a yearly unlock of specific regiments of the Renown units. Shivering Trumbull, SFO passive removed from modes. Variants of Frostworm just was too much. Mother Stanka received her Resist Chaos passive. Snow Leopard, a small of a buff. Armored Corsairs, less cost. Streltsy, more cost because they are overperforming. And Warbear, I don't know why this one is bigger font, but yeah, it got Unbreakable attribute. High Elves, Swordmaster of Hoev, their Hoev Mastery passive ability duration was lowered to 45 from 60, but we added that they cannot die, and flank immunity attribute was added, which is making the unit like unkillable for 45 seconds when they are dropping below 50% health. Lord Master of Hoev, hero received a flanking immunity attribute in his skill tree. And thanks to modding magic, Teclis no longer has a visual army ability clutter, meaning that there is no 20 army abilities on the right. You can have 20, but you need to unlock them one by one, so it will be just visually looking way better. Drycha, Legendary Lord, flanking immunity attribute added. Glade Lord and Glade Lady, the reload speed was lowered for them, but the projectile damage was increased. Why? Because it was so low that it was not able to be increased by any skills, items, and so on, because the animation was not able to do it. So it's just a technical change. Armor building received an income in region, so it's more viable to do. And Tricking, this is quite interesting, we changed the damage to be full armor piercing melee, because Wood Elves are still lacking a good melee armor piercing unit, so it's early on. Greenskins, Squeak Big Bursta unit, this is for one, more melee defense. Gork will fix an itchy noses, duration was changed, increase. Spinning Loons ability was changed back to active ability. I always wanted it to be a passive, it was passive for years in SFO. We don't know why, but it's not working as a passive anymore. I don't know why. And new skills rebalances, some of them were way too strong. Some of them were removed and so on, but some of them were just went down because they were just too strong in my opinion. Vampire counts. Banshee hero received Executioner attribute in her SFO skill tree. You know, it's a Banshee, and she really needs some help in combat because she's a very unused combat hero. Knights of the Red Death, we increased the melee attack and crippled SFO contact effect added. Yeah. We forgot about that. And Krell Legendary Lord also received Executioner. No, this is Krell. This is Executioner. He should be strong. Vampire Coast. Deck Droppers. All units 15 armor. So double the armor. Way better. Zombie Pirate Deck Heads. Plus 10 physical resistance. We want them to actually tank something with their faces. Sartosa Norscan Raiders. Less armor but more physical resistance. Very good. Korn. Arbal Mode got more armor piercing. This was requested by Krondax, one of our very long patrons on SFO. And in this moment, I would like to encourage you to support SFO on Patreon, because this is the best way to make this mod possible. Negative Bloodletting will lower and debuff melee attacks, so idling your army won't punish you that much. Norska, Sword of Torgal, active ability. And I said all of this on one breath. Whew. Sword of Torgal, active ability, melee defense change to 25, so this is a small buff. And Wulfric Regional Lord, immune to flanking added to his foot variant. I always like the lords not on mode, so we are trying to buff them. Dwarf units, Hammerers, they lost melee defense because Iron Breakers had a bit too much. Not having enough, let's call it that way, and immune to flanking was added. They are Hammerers, you know, you won't flank them. Things like that. Demons of Chaos. Daniel, the demon, legendary lords, most of his skills levels were removed, so most of his level skills are 2 points, but overall power stays the same. So meaning that you will be able to invest in more skills right now and being even more powerful as a Daniel the demon. If you don't know, Daniel the demon prince in SFO is working like a technology platform. Zinch, Changeling, again, thanks to Gabe Sky, is having starting location dilemma, so you can, same as Nakai, just change when he starts, which is a great change in my opinion, and also working in Old World campaign mode. And Ogre Kingdoms, something, who cares about that? Okay, so this is all changelog. That's a long video. Rise of the Rat being released today on Thursday, 18th of September during the release stream, 8 p.m. Central European Time. You can find the stream on our social media and also on the Discord. Thank you everyone for watching. Remember to like this video, subscribe, leave a comment, support SFO if you like it. If you don't like it, you can also support. There's no incentive here. And leave a comment if you think that some of these changes are good or bad. And maybe based on your feedback, we'll change them today for the release. Oh, okay. I was Venris and I'm out. Have a wonderful day. Bye.